back. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. We do have another book we're going to talk about, but we're going to hold off on that until Last Rants because it kind of has to do with Last Rants. So just so you know, that setup I did in the last segment, I lied. No, actually, well, you saw it. We veered off. So it just goes to show how little planning goes into this. By the time this airs, and we're going to tell you right now, tons of spoilers. If you are watching the current Doctor Who on BBC America, meaning you're not watching it in any other way, and haven't already seen the season finale for this past year, or for this past season, just skip ahead to the next segment, or rewatch the first segment if you want, because we're going to get into some heavy spoiler territory in regards to Doctor Who's season finale. The Pandorica opens and Big Bang. So, gonna say this right from the beginning.
Worst thing you ever saw.
Yes, it was horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm gonna tell you, I have never been so set up. Can I tell you, the letdown of this season was worse than Lost.
Wow, yeah, I totally
worse
agree.
than Lost.
I totally agree.
And I was pissed off by Lost. Now what they did with Doctor Who pissed me off even more.
You know, there's like those 5 people out there who really hate when we talk about Doctor Who, being like, yeah, they hate it too. No, we're lying again.
We're lying.
We lie.
Because I gotta tell you, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking loved it. The last two, okay, the Border.
The Lodger.
The Lodger, I'm sorry.
That was episode 11.
Episode 11 was a nice little comedic break right before getting into the really heavy, emotional season finale.
Yeah, which is something we talked about. Joss Whedon does a lot.
Yes.
In his shows.
It was a really good episode too.
No, The Lodger was awesome. I don't know how you cannot like that episode. I mean, if that just made me like Matt Smith even more as a Doctor. Mm-hmm. And it was such like a great just Doctor episode. It was just him pretty much because Amy was trapped in the TARDIS and I don't know. It was very funny. I got to see the Doctor play football and he was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Matt Smith who wanted to play football professionally.
Yeah, and then he got injured. But no, that was a good way to get into the season finale.
Yeah, because it was that little break. Because tell you that season finale is pretty heavy, and then you get into.
And can you imagine if like they do with American shows, if that Pandorica opens, if that was the season finale?
Oh my God! Can I tell you? And talk about Lost. Lost has done that. Lost has done the bit where they leave you the end of the season with the heroes in like some deep shit, and you have to wait the entire summer. Mm-hmm. And for Lost, it would be like a whole fucking year or before you would get to pick up again.
Or for our Trekkie fans or Trekker fans, Next Generation season 3,
best of both worlds. Yeah,
with the Borg, it's like
the Borg.
Yeah, when you get that cliffhanger, you're like, God damn it!
Yep.
Like that's kind of what this was, except you get to see this.
You get the
follow up next week.
The follow up the next week,
yeah,
which
you have to wait 3 months.
Which was such a BBC thing to do, and I really appreciated that Stephen Moffat did that, as opposed to ending the season, with Pandorica opens. Halfway through, I figured out what was in the Pandorica, what was supposed to be in the Pandorica, but it didn't matter because it just worked so well.
Yeah.
I had no idea how Big Bang. I was totally taken by surprise by the opening of the Big Bang when you find out what replaced what was in the Pandorica.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop talking vaguely. I'm just gonna come out and say we're spoiler alert again. Spoilers here. So you find out that the Pandorica. The whole time.
So the Pandorica, which was, alright, before we get into that, and we're doing a lot of backtracking, but this season has all been leading up to this. The Pandorica was something that was mentioned in the first episode of this series, of this new series. And this just brings everything full circle.
Was it in the first one?
It was in the first one. The Silence will fall and the Pandorica will open.
Oh, that's right. Yes, the Prisoner Zero. Prisoner Zero. Yes, mentions it. Yes, you're absolutely right.
So no, all this stuff it just ties in, and then you're wondering after. So the Pandorica, what it is the Doctor finds this Pandorica, and it's like in 122 like AD.
1682. Yeah, well, it's
No.
AD, but 1,682 years before whatever that happened.
Right. No, it's like yeah.
Yeah.
So underneath Stonehenge, there's this Pandorica.
102 AD. I remember because
Yeah,
it was like
so
1
I
o'clock
knew
in
it
the
was somewhere
afternoon.
around there,
102 AD, right? Yeah.
So, and he needs to find out what's in this box. Like this is the most,
The legend is that the
legend
most
is-
fearsome, most feared creature in the universe is in there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It holds the most, but then he starts talking more about this thing. It's it's the ultimate trickster. It's kind of all this, and you're kind of like, all right, kind of see where it's going. And halfway through, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew that it had something to do with the Doctor.
Yes.
Because the more they talked about it, and that's what I liked. This is what I like about Moffat's Doctor and about Matt Smith's Doctor, the way he plays it. He's so oblivious to things that are right in front of his face. He really is.
Yeah, he is.
I mean,
When Rory
shows up, it takes him like 5 minutes. He's talking to Rory like he's always been there.
Yeah.
But it takes him 5 minutes, and him explaining these things out loud to people and not catching on right away.
Right.
It's perfectly within character,
Right. Exactly.
and it's one of those great things where the viewer is already ahead of the Doctor before the Doctor even gets there.
Right.
And I kind of like the way they did that.
And Moffat is smart enough with his scripts to know to throw things out there that, he knows you're not going to get it at first blush. I mean, these are the episodes, Moffat episodes, you tend to get more from them the second time you watch them, third
Yes.
time you watch them, and so on. So I've already rewatched them twice.
Yeah,
the
so have
two, the season finale twice. And I get more of it every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so expertly put together the way Moffat drops things here and there. We also find out that as you said, he's been building throughout the whole season to that. And there are scenes in the very last episode from previous episodes throughout the series that...
Which I thought something was up with each part that they showed.
Right.
When I watched those episodes, because I rewatched most of these like 2 or 3 times. Throughout the series, and I'm like, that's gonna play into something, and we should probably tell people what the Pandorica is.
The Pandorica is a
Since-
prison.
yeah.
It's a prison that all of Doctor Who's enemies created to put him in.
They all actually allied with one another
Right.
to trap the Doctor.
But not only that, but because the TARDIS is what the explosion of the TARDIS is what caused all the cracks in time. So all of the Doctor's enemies kind of pooled together, or on their own figured out that the cracks in time were caused by the explosion of the TARDIS. So they say, well, if we get rid of the Doctor, and we know we can't kill the Doctor, so what we're going to do is we're going to imprison him. If he can't fly the TARDIS, it'll never explode.
Right, because they're assuming that nobody can fly the TARDIS to the Doctor.
Besides him, but they don't even know that River Song knows how to fly the TARDIS, which is a big dangling question that Stephen Moffat, has left for the following
Yeah,
season.
not all the questions were answered, and I'm kind of
No.
glad that they all weren't answered,
Yeah.
because you do need some of that stuff. But no, the first part ends with the prison, or the Doctor being in prison, and then it
The
turns out
TARDIS exploding.
TARDIS exploding.
River Song dies.
River Song dies.
Amy
Rory,
dies.
Yeah, Rory ends up.
Turned into a robot.
Well, he always was a robot. He was like because that was the robot that the Daleks made back in the World War II one. Remember that episode? That's what he was pretty much.
You're right.
Because the Daleks created all those Romans.
yeah, that's right.
But
And then having rewatched again, knowing how the conflict of the first part of the series, the season finale ends, even knowing how Moffat resolves
I'm
it.
even confused by us talking about
Yeah,
this.
I know.
Because it's pretty confusing when you're not watching it, but
The Pandorica opens, which is part 1 of the season finale, ends with the Doctor imprisoned, Amy dead, River Song dead,
it's the Empire Strikes Back.
and pretty much. And every time, even though I know that's not really how it ends, it still chokes me up.
Yeah.
It still chokes me up to watch it because it was perfect the way it's all executed, the way it's cut together. Even the music that they used for that episode was just brilliant, brilliant. Then you go into the Big Bang, the following episode, and you Moffat right there.
And if you're a fan of time travel stories, The Big Bang is probably one of the best time travel stories.
It's time travel stories done right.
Yeah.
Not this funky bullshit faux quantum mechanic crap that Bendis did. I'm sorry, Bendis did in Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was done well. And it's just the idea that when you skip through time, how things happen as you skip through time. At the beginning of Big Bang, we have the return of young Amelia Pond, who kind of like brings the whole thing together. The little girl from the very first episode, is back in the last episode. Nice symmetry to it.
And she's drawing a picture, and the picture is of a night sky, but it has stars in it.
And no stars exist.
And no stars exist because the entire universe is collapsing and all the stars have been destroyed.
Yeah.
Right, and the Earth is at the epicenter of the explosion, so it's unraveling as this is going on. But that's why it's still around.
It's the last to go. It'll be the very last thing to go.
So Amy Pond, the girl who can see stars when there aren't really no stars.
What I really liked about that episode, even, and the fact that they brought back young Amelia Pond, is it helped re-establish that sort of patriarchal relationship the Doctor and Amelia have and Amy have. They're seeing the little girl again. Because, as the series progressed, Amy was both, infatuated with the Doctor. She had a crush on him, and at one point, straight off asked him to boff her because she wanted, to just have sex with the Doctor. And he's like, hold on, look, I'm over 900 years old, and so on and so forth. And that's just not the way he feels about her. He's got a very fatherly sort of affection for her. So bringing back the little girl again really reestablished that rather quickly.
Right.
And then, as Amy Pond has done throughout the series, the season, I know the BBC calls it series instead of season.
British calls it series.
Right. Amy again has to rescue the Doctor at the very end, which really, I love the way it was done because, again, Stephen Moffat, like in the Iron Man annual, where that was Matt Fraction's love letter to movies, that last episode was Stephen Moffat's love letter to the power of stories and the power of words. And the device that's used to bring back the Doctor at the very end, beautiful. And it chokes me up every time I watch it. Chokes me up.
Yeah. No, that second is awesome as the first part was. The second part was just even that much more. I mean, it had everything I could want from a season finale of any show ever. I mean, it was just one of the best put together stories that I've ever seen on television. I mean, it literally had everything that I wanted.
Yeah, it gave you. I mean, essentially, it gives you the happy ending. It gives you resolution.
Well, not really a happy ending. I mean, it's well, here. This is what I liked about it. First, you have these really awesome scenes going throughout. You have the Doctor going back in time with Rory, saying, "Hey, Rory, you need." And I talked about this on a blog ad nauseum, but I still have a problem with the whole Doctor going back in time to give Rory the sonic screwdriver to get him out.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make any sense when you think about it. Because the Doctor is trapped in the Pandorica. And he needs his future version of himself to get out of the Pandorica.
Right.
But that future version would never be out of Pandorica.
Right.
So
it's a paradox.
It is a paradox.
It's a paradox, right.
And that was my only nitpick about the episode. I'm like, you know what? I'm enjoying this too much. Whatever. Just do whatever the hell you want. Like, that didn't work. Right. But that's such a nerd nitpick.
Right.
But that scene was good, and then then we have the fossilized Daleks coming alive, or Dalek coming alive in the museum.
The eye Daleks.
And then you have the whole thing with the Fez, which is awesome.
Right.
I wish the Doctor would have kept the Fez, but he didn't.
He might get one later.
I hope. Yeah, he said he's gonna buy one, so we'll see. But and then just the Amy and Amelia, and then River Song and them all together, all just the acting off each other was just great. All those scenes were great. And then just the scene where they figure out what they need to do to stop the TARDIS from exploding. And by the way, one of the cool things, since there were no stars, the TARDIS is actually the exploding TARDIS, which is caught in a time loop, exploding, is the Earth's sun. Which that was pretty clever. Right. I kind of like that. That was pretty cool.
Right.
But no, my favorite scene of the entire of that episode was the scene where River Song, Doctor's already put himself into the Pandorica. He's already, he's getting ready because he's going to fly a Pandorica into the heart of the explosion to stop the explosion. Mm-hmm. And River Song goes to, Amy's like, well, the Doctor wants to talk to you before he leaves. He's like, well, shouldn't you be talking to him? He's like, well,
don't you know him the best?
Well, don't you know him the best? That's right. And then she's like,
not now he doesn't.
Now he doesn't, and now he never will.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But that whole speech that he gives to Amy too, that choked me up.
Yeah. It was a great scene. Even the way the Matt Smith was lit as he's sitting in the Pandorica.
Yeah, and the whole scene of him going in the Pandorica up into the everything was just great.
And of course, what are his last words before he flies into the Pandorica? Geronimo, which is a signature thing now of the Matt Smith Doctor, the 11th Doctor.
And it is a happy ending because we do get to see Amy and Roy actually do get married.
Right.
Amy's parents come back.
Right.
All this stuff that explained from the time cracks that didn't exist before.
Why Amy was
fixed.
all alone in the house.
Yes, everything is fixed now.
Yeah.
But then there's this little subtle underlying of just like sadness, and something bad's coming because River Song tells the Doctor that he what was it?
In a moment everything's going to change.
Yeah, because
She goes, did you dance at the wedding? He's at Amy's wedding. He goes, yeah. He goes, she goes, I always dance at weddings. She goes, but she goes, yes, I know. But the moment you realize that,
who I am,
that's when everything will change. Oh no, he goes, are you married? No, he goes, married or something like that. She goes, yes. She goes, wait, do you think I just asked you to marry me, or are you telling me that you're married? She goes, yes. Mm-hmm. And then and it just, there's this whole relationship they have. Alex Kingston is gorgeous. She has not lost a bit of what I used to think that she would make a great Lara Croft, although she's much older now. I don't think she can do it.
She's pretty badass in the episode when she killed that Dalek.
Yeah, she kills the Dalek.
They didn't show it.
Yeah, right. Mercy. Say it again. Mercy. And then she's got that one scene where she steals the Van Gogh painting, mm-hmm. and she's in the push-up black cat suit. Oh, yeah. I like to see more of her. I mean, returning.
Yeah, man. With this Doctor Who talk was really just a jumbled mess.
Like the show was. Like that show.
But it all makes sense in the end because it was good.
It was good.
But it sets up. Hopefully, it sets up on that it's the Christmas special, the annual Doctor Who Christmas special. So we don't have to wait a whole year for another episode, but we get one Christmas special before the new series.
And then on top of that, check out Bleeding Cool News, where Rich Johnston posted an interview with Stephen Moffat, done by his kid. I think it was one of his kids who interviews him after watching the Doctor Who episode. And can I say, I mean, this kid, I think, is like 10, 11 years old.
Better than you are.
Way better. Some of the questions, he's like if this is his son, he's grilling his dad. And his dad is like, just trying to answer him pretty sincerely. And I'm going, this is a smart kid. I mean, and this kid's going to grow up to be as brilliant as his dad, because it's some really, really good. He has some great questions about it, and some tough questions, too. Mm-hmm. That Stephen Moffat was there going, oh, shit, man, my kid's, getting me here. So definitely watch that. All right, when we return, we will have Last Rants, which leads off with a bit of a review of another book that came out last week that got everybody all in a tizzy. Yeah. We'll see you then.